The smell of disinfectant and quiet hum of machines filled street. Clare Medical Center as Ryan Carter entered through the glass doors. It had been years since he'd been in a hospital, and he hated every second of it. A bad fall at the construction site had left his shoulder fractured, and though he pretended it didn't hurt, the sling on his arm said otherwise. He signed in at the reception, impatient, wishing he could be anywhere else. The nurse behind the counter smiled and directed him to room 214 for his initial checkup. When he opened the door, a soft voice greeted him. "Good morning, Mr. Carter. I'm Nurse Emily Brooks. I'll be assisting you today." Ryan stopped for a second. Emily had a calm energy that instantly softened the sharp edges of his frustration. She was in her early 30s, hair tied neatly back, her name tag shining under the bright lights. Her tone wasn't overly cheerful, it was composed, kind, and real. "Hi," he said awkwardly. "You're the first person who hasn't told me to relax today." Emily chuckled lightly. "That's because telling someone to relax never works. Let's just take this one step at a time." She began her examination, explaining each movement so he wouldn't tense up. Her hands were steady, her instructions clear. For the first time that day, Ryan didn't feel like a patient, he felt human. Scene 2. A routine that became familiar. The next morning, Emily was back for his follow-up. Ryan was scrolling through his phone, trying to distract himself from the dull ache in his arm. "Good morning," she said, checking his chart. "How's the pain today?" "Better," he lied. She looked up with a half smile. "You're not very good at pretending, Mr. Carter. Pain doesn't just vanish overnight." He sighed. "Guess I'm not built for sitting still." Emily adjusted his sling, her movements precise. "Maybe that's something worth learning. Healing isn't about doing nothing, it's about doing the right things slowly." Her words struck him. No one had ever explained recovery like that. It wasn't weakness, it was patience. Over the next few days, their conversations grew longer. They talked about everything: work, books, even the city's endless construction noise. Emily had a quiet wisdom about her. She'd seen life in all its forms: births, recoveries, losses, and somehow it had made her softer, not harder. One afternoon, she brought him tea instead of the usual hospital coffee. "You look like someone who needs real tea," she said. He laughed. "That obvious, huh?" "Completely," she replied, smiling. Scene 3. The storm. On the sixth night, a storm rolled across the city. Thunder shook the windows, and rain slashed against the glass. The emergency lights flickered for a moment, plunging the corridors into shadows before the backup generator kicked in. Ryan couldn't sleep. His arm throbbed with the change in air pressure, and he felt restless. Then, footsteps approached the door. Emily appeared, flashlight in hand. "Couldn't sleep either?" she asked. "Not really. Hospitals feel louder when it's dark." She nodded, taking a seat on the chair beside him. The small flashlight sat between them, throwing a warm circle of light. For a while, neither spoke. Then Emily said softly, "I used to be terrified of storms as a kid. I'd hide under the blankets. My mom told me that thunder was just the sky reminding us it's alive." Ryan smiled faintly. "That's poetic." She shrugged. She was a nurse too. Maybe compassion runs in the family. There was a long pause. The sound of rain softened, and Ryan finally said, "You really love what you do, don't you?" Emily looked thoughtful. "I do. It's not easy, but it matters. I can't fix the world, but I can help one person at a time. And that's enough." It wasn't a dramatic moment. It was simple, quiet, and deeply human. Ryan realized then that healing wasn't just physical, it was emotional, too. Scene 4. What healing really means. The next morning, Emily found Ryan sketching something on a notepad. "What's that?" she asked. He turned the paper around to show her. A new building design. Something peaceful. A rehab center, maybe. A place people can actually heal in. She raised an eyebrow. You're designing while recovering. He grinned. Guess you can't turn off an architect's brain. She studied the drawing. It had open spaces, big windows, and garden courtyards. It's beautiful, she said softly. Most hospitals forget sunlight exists. Ryan shrugged. Maybe that's what's wrong with them. Healing shouldn't feel like punishment. Emily nodded slowly. You're right. I think people heal faster when they feel seen. For the rest of the week, their talks became less about medicine and more about meaning. Emily told him stories of patients who taught her courage, and he shared how buildings could change moods. The nurse and the builder found common ground, both tried to make people's lives stronger. Scene 5. The goodbye. After 2 weeks, Ryan was cleared to go home. His shoulder had improved, and his checkups were scheduled. But the thought of leaving made him oddly quiet. Emily entered the room with his final papers. You're officially discharged, she said with a bright smile. Guess I'm out of excuses to stay, he replied. She laughed. You'll do fine. Just take it slow. Ryan hesitated. You've been more help than I can explain. I came in with a broken arm, but I think I'm leaving with something fixed inside me too. Emily's expression softened. That means more than you know. She handed him a small folded note. For when you forget to rest. He slipped it into his pocket and left the hospital with a lighter heart than he'd had in years. Scene 6. The note. At home that evening, Ryan unfolded the note. Inside were 3 handwritten lines. Greater than healing takes time. Purpose takes patience. Don't rush either. It was signed simply, Emily. He read it several times, then pinned it above his desk. It wasn't just advice. It was a reminder to live slower, deeper, and with gratitude. Scene 7. 2 years later. 2 years passed. Ryan's company had grown, and so had he. The rehab center design he once sketched in the hospital was now being built, a partnership with St. Clair Medical Center. During the project's opening ceremony, he spotted a familiar face in the crowd. Emily, still in her crisp uniform, smiling proudly. When their eyes met, she waved. I should have known you'd actually build it, she said when they met afterward. He grinned. You inspired it. She looked around at the open spaces and bright windows. It feels peaceful. Exactly what healing should feel like. Maybe you'll work here someday, he said jokingly. Maybe, she replied. If they'll let me bring real tea. They laughed. 2 people connected not by fate, but by kindness and shared purpose. Scene 8. The speech. Later, during his speech to the gathered staff, Ryan said something that made Emily pause. I thought I understood construction, bricks, steel, design. But 2 years ago, someone in this very hospital taught me what real building means. It's not just about walls and roofs. It's about rebuilding people, from the inside out. He glanced at her across the room. Emily smiled, realizing he was talking about her. Scene 9. The rooftop conversation. As the evening ended, Ryan found her on the hospital rooftop, overlooking the city lights. The wind was cool, the hum of traffic below faint and distant. You ever think about how people come and go through these halls, he said, but some leave something behind. Emily looked at him thoughtfully. I think that's what makes this job worth it. Every person we meet changes us a little. He nodded. You changed me a lot. She smiled softly. You did the hard part, you listened. They stood there quietly, watching the skyline shimmer like scattered stars. It wasn't romance, it was respect, friendship, and something far deeper, shared growth. Scene 10. The legacy. Years later, St. Clair Rehabilitation Center became known not just for its modern design, but for its atmosphere, warm, bright, filled with compassion. Patients often mentioned the feeling of calm that greeted them as soon as they entered. On a plaque near the entrance was a quote, written in elegant script. Greater than, healing takes time. Purpose takes patience. Below it, two small names, Ryan Carter and Emily Brooks. No one outside the hospital staff knew the full story behind those names, but everyone who walked in felt what they had built, a place born from kindness.